Hello, fellow travelers, and welcome to the Traversing the Stars podcast. How are my loyal listeners? Thank you for your continued support. We have an amazing show for you all because boarding the mothership is Hannah Pniewski. She stars in The Staircase, now on HBOMax. Now come join me as we go traversing the stars. Hello, Ms. Pniewski. It's a pleasure to talk with you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
It's totally my pleasure. So I always start off my interviews with a question of inspiration. So I'm going to do the same here. Great. So what inspired you to become an actor and who were your earliest influences?
It's a great question. I have always been a big fan of storytelling. I'm a big history nerd, and I think that we as humans really are moved so deeply by stories. And so, I was big on any kind of book series when I was a kid, big movie nerd. But also, my dad. So my dad is also an actor, very successful in his own right. He's been a working actor for a long, long time. And he definitely was an early influence for sure. I got to meet some cool people when I was very young and see him really hustle a lot and, could do a lot of auditions, do other things to make ends meet. But he's been a working actor for a great long time. He's got a really great resume, and I just really liked growing up around it, especially now as an adult, looking back and seeing how many artists I got to grow up around and how many people I got to grow up around who are just chasers of their own dreams. That influence is huge. I feel it and I see it in myself every day. So I'm very grateful for both my parents for that. My mom, who is also an artist and a filmmaker. Very grateful to be their kid. But outside of them, I think all of the books that I was obsessed with. I was a big Harry Potter fan when I was a kid, still am, let's be honest. And just the movies too. Really all of Disney, I gotta say, even though it might sound a little cheesy and not too highbrow, but I really do love all of those Disney movies I grew up on as a kid. They always made me feel so hopeful or energized. And as an adult, I hope I can do that for other people as a performer.
So, important question for every time I hear someone who's a history buff. What's your favorite time periods?
Great question. So I'm really fascinated by ancient Mesopotamia, kind of when it was at the height of its life.
That's real old history.
Yeah, for sure. Kind of right around that time where we stopped being nomadic and became civilization and, started growing where we're planted in a sense. That switch, I think, is really fascinating to me. So I always kind of gravitate toward that time. But I don't know, man. Ancient Rome is super cool. I took Latin for 4 years.
Rome. So. Latin. I tried Latin for, I think I took 2 semesters of Latin in college.
Yeah.
Eventually the professor kicked me out of the class, but up to that point,
why did he kick you out?
I was getting a B in the class, but she actually pulled me outside and she looked at me and she said, "You're going to fail my class, get out." And I was getting a B at the time too. I was like, "Are you kidding me? I'm passing." She's like, "You're not going to keep up. Get out."
That breaks my heart.
I know.
Bad teachers are the worst. There are some amazing teachers out there. Most teachers are incredible and amazing, and they deserve to be paid way more than they are.
I agree with you 100%.
Oh my gosh. My sisters are both educators. But some of those bad teachers, man, some bad teachers, I'll tell you what, have inspired a lot of people to become really good teachers. But I'm sorry that happened. Sucks.
That's one reason why I became a teacher myself.
Oh, great.
And like I said, everything I've read about acting or read actors who have written books, they talk about the grind of it all,
right?
Where it's almost like, I guess the closest is almost like baseball, where the best hitter hits 1 out of 4 at best, and for acting it's got to be a much worse average than that when you're looking for roles. And it takes a certain kind of person, I think, to go through all that crap and still manage success.
Well, and it's just it's a practice in letting go for sure, because you are constantly over and over again just trying. It is kind of sometimes feels like the definition of insanity, where you're doing the same thing over and again with the same result and it's not changing. Right. But I do think that if you have the fire for it, and if you continuously cultivate your craft, take class, put effort toward it, but also still, I will say I'm a big proponent of have your life outside of it, have that thing in your life that can sustain you and give you joy and validation and mental and emotional and physical support, because acting won't do that for most of us. Make that a priority in your life and give it, a 50-50 split if you can, or even 75% to the thing that is reliable and supportive for you, and then make acting the cherry on top. I think that's a great way to go about it, because they came out with statistics a couple of years ago about I think there's only 2% of people in the union in SAG-AFTRA that actually make a livable wage as an actor
I
and
can believe that.
aren't required to do something else. And so for the 98% of the rest of us who still want to do this as our art and as our profession, we have to figure out something else so that we can, have a lovely, fulfilling life. And there's nothing wrong with that. So you gotta figure out how to make it through the mind fuck by taking care of yourself as best you can.
So prior to you becoming successful as an actor, what did you do for that fulfillment on the side to get you through obviously the rougher patches that I assume were there for everybody?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I still do it. I work as a consultant with different companies, and I really enjoy that work. It's really, really fun to have different clients that we can kind of meet them where they're at, and support them through different things. And I also am an artist, so I have an Etsy shop, Chronicle Collective, if I can plug that. Chronicle Collective Studio. Yeah, so I'm also an artist, and other jobs, I've worked as a barista. I was a producer for a lot of short form content for a while, and first AD. I've worked as a PA a lot. You figure it out. You do other things to make your ends meet, and try and make time for your art at the same time.
Well, make sure you send me the link to your Etsy, and I'll post it on the YouTube notes. So
Okay.
make sure that you click. Feel free to promote as much as you wish.
Oh, thanks. That's so kind. Well, I would love to. I was so excited to do this too, because my boyfriend and I just started a podcast.
Oh yeah,
so we're excited. Yeah, we're excited to put our effort into that too. It's called This Is the Adventures of.
Yeah.
And it's just every episode we get to talk about some fascinating human that lived life really interestingly, and sort of profile them and talk about what we learned about, what they did.
Oh, so now you got me asking tons of questions now. First off, is it already started? Has it already been out?
Our first episode came out yesterday.
Oh my God. Congratulations.
Yeah. Congratulations. Thank you. We're just at the beginning. You got any advice?
I have tons of advice. Well, first off, is it YouTube or YouTube and or Apple and Spotify? Is it on all three?
Just before? Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Yeah, we haven't done video recordings yet. We've thought about it, but for now it's just the audio.
Well, I'll tell you right now, my advice for a podcaster. I've been actually podcasting on and off for 3 years. If I was a previous podcast, I left it to go to start my own. Oh, cool. This one is only about 7 months old.
Okay.
I will tell you, be careful your peaks and valleys is what I would say. They're going to be there, and there's going to be a time where you feel like no one's listening to you, but believe it or not, it does happen. They will find you. If you're any good, they will find you. And the other one is promote the hell out of it.
Yeah.
Find social media and promote like it's like your full-time job.
Cool. Okay. Noted.
But also, like I said, give me the link. I will make sure not only to follow it, but I'll post it as well in the notes with the Etsy thing as well, to make sure that many people see it as possible. Because I'm a big, that sounds awesome. And I'm actually going to tune in because I'm curious about the people in history that you found. To talk about. Actually, let's go there. Who were the first person that you did a podcast about?
So I actually can't tell you because part of the format for the show is that like in life, you never really know where you're going to end up when you go on an adventure. So we start the episode not knowing who we're going to talk about, one of us. So my boyfriend will do the research, or I'll do the research, and then we'll come to the table and we'll have to guess. We do like a 20 questions at the beginning to sort of see if we can guess who the person is that we're about to learn about for 35, 45 minutes. So we kind of title it sort of, like a clue as to who the person might be. So the first episode is called The Wildlife Warrior. So it's kind of like a hint at who this person was. But then you kind of got to listen to find out more about them. So that sounds
cool.
Yeah.
All right.
And we'll mention your podcast on our podcast for sure. Gotta help each other out, right?
100%. I totally agree with you. Yeah. That sounds really awesome. That actually sounds like non-bullshit, something I actually will tune into, because often you do the celebrity, yes, of course, but this sounds actually really freaking awesome. Especially I'm also someone who loves history. So that sounds really cool. So yes,
we are going to talk about not only just historical characters, but like fictional characters that we also find fascinating. Because
very cool.
Some people like Indiana Jones, like his story arc is chocked full of life lessons and like things that he went through or powered through or learned about life, as he kind of went through them. So the whole thing is we're really trying to become better humans by learning about it from other people who've been a human being of some sort, or I guess I should say a being of some sort. So so different kind of not only just historical people, but also characters that we also think we can learn from.
Very cool. I mean, you got the 5th movie coming out. This would be a nice way to tie into that as well.
Yeah.
And one other piece of advice: hashtag the shit out of it.
Will do.
Hashtags
Okay.
are the thing. Apparently, that stirs the whole podcast. Is the hashtag. So
nice.
I've learned to use it. You got to learn to use it. The hashtag.
Got it. Well, thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. Thanks for letting me gab on about it.
Oh, hey, no, it sounds fantastic. Like I said, I definitely will put in the notes, and because you got to support the other podcasts.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Especially the cool ones.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, the cool ones. Yeah.
for the geeks. I mean, let's face it.
It's all for the geeks. Of course it is. We just got our tickets to Dragon Con yesterday. Like, it's all for the geeks.
Nice. Any cool autographs you're going for, or are you going to have your table?
Yeah, I don't know that I go for the autograph so much as I just really love to see everybody else in their outfits. Like I am not a super intense cosplayer, but I just want to see what everybody else is dressed up as. I love the dance parties. I love the vendor floor with all the art and things that people have made. It's just incredible, beautiful artistry and work. So those are my favorite parts.
You think you're going to eventually get yourself a table to do some signing?
Maybe I don't know. I don't know that I would be asked to do that, but if that ever happens one day, I would love to. That would be so much fun. I hope it would be for some show that's like super sci-fi and nerdy. That would be my shit. Like, I hope that I get to be in like the next version of Firefly. Like,
fingers crossed for you too now, because now you gotta come on the show and talk about that too.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely, I will. Yeah.
I do indie comics, so I've been on the table, so I've been able to sign.
Cool.
That's the coolest feeling ever when you sign, and then I've had some people, they'll turn and be like, how much do I owe you for the signature? And I'm just like, nothing, but that's cool that you asked. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. That's great.
Yeah, I'm a convention nerd. I'm an autograph hound.
Nice.
So I think like all my walls are just wallpapered with autographs from pictures and comic books that have been signed by people.
Oh, cool.
I have a very tolerant wife, thank God.
Oh no, bless her. That's so lovely. What do you have, like a favorite autograph you've ever gotten?
Oh, I got several. I have Jeff Goldblum.
Oh wow.
I got a Val Kilmer.
Nice.
Andy Serkis is really cool.
Oh yeah, he's so talented, man. Wow.
I got a William Shatner.
Nice.
Armin Shimerman, which is really cool. And then my other big ones. Let's look at them real quick. It's Matt Smith and and Karen Gillian.
Karen Gillan, yeah,
those are some of my big favorites.
Yeah, so Doctor Who, when I was in college, it was Matt Smith and Karen Gillan, and I mean, listen, like David Tennant is brilliant. We always have to have that disclaimer, but I loved Matt Smith's performance as the Doctor. He looked so free and it was so celebratory, and like all the kind of youthful, high energy, curious energy that he had about himself as a Doctor. I loved his performance.
Oh, he's my Doctor. I will say I did not watch much Tennant. I still have not. I quit after like a season of Capaldi because I couldn't take it. Matt Smith was my Doctor. That I tuned in during the episode in the hotel. Yeah, with the creepy looking dolls. That's when I got sold into Doctor Who, because I kept randomly switching through cable and I found it. And he's so awesome, not only because I think the stories had a fairy tale kind of aspect to him that I just loved, but he is so dynamic. I mean, he in one character, he played the youthful exuberance, curiosity. He's the old man at the same time. You can look at him. He plays the likable Doctor, but he also plays that threatening, he may or may not give a shit about your survival either kind of Doctor, all in the same package. I was like, this is a guy who is an actor. This is a Doctor. I really
he's a craftsperson for sure. Yeah, and
it was fantastic. I mean, the and like Karen Gillian as the what the hell the companion associate. I mean, she's so good, and it was such a Jenna Coleman after.
Her she was fun too. Her partner in that show, Arthur
Duval.
Yes, I thought his performance was so strong. I actually got to see him once in London when I was studying over there.
Nice.
He was in once, and in that musical, and his performance was so beautiful. It was very cool.
Yeah, I mean, they were so well done. I mean, the episodes with the Weeping Angels. Holy crap, those are insane good.
Really good. Those are really good. The ones with the silence, though, those got me. Those were terrifying. Yes. Yeah.
There are a few. I mean, like the last episode of with the Matt Smith, and the other one with the last regular season episodes of him.
Right.
They're just that's pure television. That's perfect television. And I know David Tennant is the one popular to like, but I'm just saying it's Matt Smith.
Right.
I'm sorry, but it's Matt Smith.
He's our Doctor.
He is, and I kind of find out someone told me is that every person has their doctor and will only ever be that doctor.
Mhm.
And I think it is. Once I saw Matt Smith, I couldn't
Yeah.
completely accept any other person as the doctor.
Yeah,
At
it's
that
such an
point.
interesting phenomenon. You sort of latch onto it specifically through one of those actors'
Yes.
lenses.
Yeah.
Not sure if that was grammatically correct what I just said, but yes, that like you see it through their lens. You see who they're bringing to the table, and you're just for whatever reason so drawn to it. I think that's really interesting too. I mean, it says so much about how art is so subjective. I think
Mm.
because each one of those artists brought something so different to the table as the doctor. Same character, same world, same writer, even showrunner. But
Yeah.
if the actor is different, it's a different show. It's a
It
different
is.
energy.
It,
Yeah.
it means everything. And I think because that one actor that you first get sold on
Yeah.
is what defined it for you. I mean,
Yeah.
Doctor Who in my head is what Matt Smith brought to the table.
Mm-hmm.
And no other doctor could do it the way he did
Mm-hmm.
it. And I think when you watch the others, they just feel like you're watching a different character. It doesn't feel
Mm-hmm.
exactly like the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, Peter Capaldi is a great actor, I'm sure. I mean,
Oh yeah.
he's done so many great things, but he was not Matt Smith for me, and it would never be repeated.
Heard.
But anyways, we'll go back to you for a little bit. One thing I did read is that you earned a degree in classical acting from the London Academy of Music and Dramatic Art.
So I did the 6-month course and the semester in classical acting there, which was amazing. It was such a wonderful, intense couple months. I think it was, I can't remember exactly how long the course was itself, because I ended up traveling a bit while I was over there, which was super fun. So I remember I ended up staying for 6 months, but it was a whole semester. I learned so much. The teachers were incredible. The training that I got really elevated me. I really felt like a performer coming out of there. Like that's when I really felt like, oh yeah, like this is a craft and I am an artist and this is what I want to do. But it just felt so special. And the people that I was in school with over there were also special from all over the world. It was really an incredible experience. Yeah.
So when it's called classical acting, I mean, a lot of times I see someone who's an actor, they have either called it drama or something else. What is specific about classical acting that was useful? I mean, what is that as opposed to other types of acting class courses?
That's a great question. So classical acting would refer to a lot of older texts. So we did a lot of Shakespeare. We did a lot of Moliere. There's a very famous play, Tartuffe. Like there's a lot of older texts and a very sort of stylized, big presence, broad movements. The way you say your words is so intentional. We these days as human beings, we kind of talk how we've talked on this podcast very fast, very quick, lots of hand gestures and movements. And if you're someone that has a little bit of anxiety, you're like, I'm going to move all the time. But as a classical actor, you have to learn how to be really still and big, because in classical times, it was most often performed in a stage that had a ton of seating. There was no additional sound, equipment to help you project. You just had like the arc of the hill in front of you and hopefully some good acoustics to spread your voice. So we did a lot of voice work, which was amazing. And voice work actually is what I typically start with when I try and build a character, because of that experience. I realized that you can change everything else about your body if you speak differently. It affects everything else for me.
Really?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, the way characters speak, I love to watch videos of voice actors who do animation and how they deliver different performances. There's this one guy, I wish I could remember his name, but he played a squirrel in something. And so he's like doing his little squirrel voice, and like everything's very like quick and moving, and like, kind of tingly, I don't know. And then he went and he played this like kind of Gaston sort of character, and his shoulders rolled back and he like stands very differently, and his voice is all of a sudden like down in his his gut. And it's so cool to kind of see that behind the scenes of a voice, because then what you see on the other side isn't so affected. It's just the sound of what came out of their body. But I do think that, your voice has so much to do with how you carry yourself, and maybe just my personal experience, but that semester really affected me in that way. And classical acting is just a little bit more big and affected, but really beautiful if done right. It is kind of a lost art, but I love seeing good Shakespeare, good classical texts done really intentionally, and not even necessarily adapted for modern times, because I don't think they need to be. I think that they can be delivered really beautifully in the way that they were supposed to be delivered, very kind of without a lot of flash. It's really about the text.
I agree with you 100%. There's actually a great recent version of Macbeth on Apple Plus with Denzel Washington playing Macbeth.
I haven't seen it yet, but I want to.
It's so good.
Okay.
It is, once again, they keep it to the old times.
Okay.
Well, I guess it's supposed to take place, I think 1080, but it might be somewhere in that time frame.
Okay.
It's like I said, they keep it to the real Shakespearean dialogue, not like the modern like translation crap. And it's very minimalist. When you look at the backgrounds, extremely minimalist. It's virtually almost black and white. Wow. There's very little detail in the backgrounds. It looks almost like a stage play on video. And like I said, he's absolutely wonderful at it. And it's the Lady Macbeth is played by Frances McDormand, I think.
McDormand.
She's
a hero of mine. I love her.
Yes, and she's she's Lady Macbeth, and she's a kick-ass Lady Macbeth.
Cool.
I highly recommend. I actually recently just taught Macbeth to my students.
Oh, nice.
And then once we finished reading it, we watched it, and now one of my students is obsessed with the Macbeth version because he loves Denzel Washington. I think for a student who is a minority, seeing a Black Macbeth was a huge deal for him, and he just apparently just keeps looping the movie now. And he keeps watching. I told him, I was like, that is fantastic.
I love that.
It's fantastic. Like I know we're kind of off subject a little bit, but just a fun story.
That's okay. We're talking about acting.
It's acting,
fantastic.
Right?
Should we talk about the stars? I don't know much about the stars, but I know that they're big balls of gas floating millions of miles away because it was in The Lion King.
Well, see, traversing the stars means you're the stars that are being traversed. So we're talking about you. Yes, it's a pun, I guess. Anyways, the student, we were outside because during the day, it's a therapeutic high school, but we were outside for part of the day. Cool. And the student was talking to another student, and he was trying to they're kind of goofing off a little bit, and he told him off by doing that, the thumb to the mouth. And I asked him, I looked up at him, and he goes, "What? That's from Romeo and Juliet. You showed me that." I was like, "Yes," and I'm both angry and impressed. But yeah, I mean, it is fantastic, especially like when you get into the great Shakespearean plays. When you said you did Shakespeare, which ones did you do?
Let's see if I can remember when we were at Lambda specifically. We did Julius Caesar. I remember Julius Caesar. I believe we did a lot of the histories. Actually, we focused a lot on the histories, which not a lot of people know of because they're not the flashy comedies. A lot of people know, Comedy of Errors or Much Ado, things like that. So we did a lot of the histories. Henry V, I think we did Henry VI, part 1 and 2. And that's actually, I got to play Eleanor, the Duchess of Gloucester, and loved doing that monologue and playing that character. And oh gosh, it's not coming back to me now to think about that from so many years ago. But yeah, it was really, really fun. I had great teachers and just got to really dig into some really meaty stuff and think of myself really as a performer for the first time and craft things, rather than just kind of learning your lines and then doing them in front of people. Crafting choices, making choices, really being risky about things and doing a lot of stuff that was scary, but it was really, really impressive. I loved it.
I mean, I think it's cool because like I said, you got your bachelor's degree at the Georgia College and State University. So when you got that bachelor's, why did you think to yourself you need to go further? What was it that you felt were the gaps that you felt you needed or wanted to further develop?
Oh, that's a great question. So Georgia College was a great liberal arts school, and it is great liberal arts school here in Georgia. And, we had some great teachers there. I got to do a lot of really cool, solo performance, and I really love my scenic painting teacher. And I hope she listens to this because I hope that she would know that I really loved her class. And had a wonderful costume teacher, designer, who then directed us in Laramie Project my senior year. And that was my acting capstone. And that performance, that experience working on the Laramie Project was so moving because we get to play real people with a really, really heavy story of what happened to Matthew Shepard, which was terrible and absolutely tragic. And it was, though, the first time where I got to experience, before I went to Lambda, where I was gifted with something that I could feel the weight of it. I could feel the weight of telling this story and having to be really intentional about this isn't just all sort of, for play. Like it is very much so for real. You have to be very intentional about the work that you do and what you say and how you conduct yourself in these people's shoes. So I really appreciated that experience. But yeah, Georgia College, to answer your question, Georgia College was a great place for me to start. It was a really nice liberal arts school here in Georgia. We have the Hope Scholarship, and so it was financially very supportive for me. And then I got to my junior year, and I felt like I still wanted to be challenged. Like I'm kind of that way. Like I always really just want to make it harder on myself. And I also knew that studying abroad was something I always wanted to do. So I ended up marrying the two. I did Lambda as my final semester in college, and was able to basically get a lot of student loans to do my study abroad and sort of finish out a lot of my electives actually as the courses that I took at Lambda. And the school was really great about allowing me to do that. So Georgia College was a fine school. I really enjoyed my experience there, but I still wanted to know what it was really like to craft, to be an actor, knowing my craft. And then once I got to Lambda, I feel like I really got to elevate myself there. And then even I would say after school, taking class here in Atlanta at Drama Inc. and different studios around town, and still with coaches that I have, I'm still a student. I'm still learning so much all the time, which I really appreciate. But I think you just kind of check in with yourself, hopefully, and just kind of say, am I to the point where I really want to be? Okay, no. How can I learn more, be more, develop more, and then take whatever action you need to do it?
I think that's awesome. And the other thing I was kind of curious about, I mean, you have a history of directing and producing films. You were at Men, Haven's End, and Stripped. Where did that training come from? I mean, was it also at the Georgia College and State University, or was that something you're just kind of learning on the fly?
I was learning on the fly. So those productions that you just mentioned, I was either a coordinator or an assistant director for those. And so when I first got out of school, I worked as a production assistant for a bunch of different TV and film around Atlanta, and got really great experience, worked for some really cool people, but it is really exhausting to be a production assistant. It is so tiring. So I was trying to move those skills into another realm of the same kind of world, but not working 16-hour days. And had some friends who worked in the commercial world, and started producing or coordinating for them, and then started getting my own things, producing and coordinating really short form content. So Stripped that you mentioned was a short film. Haven's End was actually a feature that I was brought on to help produce, and had such an amazing time. I met some of my best friends on that production, and the guys who were at the helm of that production are just wonderful people. And I can't remember the other one that you mentioned, but basically I just kind of took it one job at a time and tried to be a full-time person behind the camera as well as in front of the camera, and did that for several years. But it is kind of hard to be a freelancer like that and bounce around from job to job. So eventually I ended up switching out of it. But oh my gosh, I mean, I grew up so much. I learned so many skills. I was running a set when I was 25. Like, just, it was such a challenge, and I really thrived on it. So I'm so grateful that I had those opportunities, and that I got to know what, as an actor, like what my place in the big picture is, because it made it so much easier for me when I didn't hear anything back from my auditions to be like, it's not my fault. It's nothing I did wrong. It is because they wanted somebody else who had a different lilt to their voice, or I looked like someone's ex-girlfriend, or whatever. Like, there's just so many different reasons why I didn't get it. Or when I do hear back, being like, oh my gosh, like somebody saw me in the sea of people who auditioned for this. And so I get excited every time I get a call back, and every time I get an audition. I mean, it's just an opportunity. So it was a really incredible experience working behind the camera, and it really did just come from my desire to just try different things and want to know and have value as a person on set outside of just being an actor. But I was also really lucky to know some people in the industry, like through my parents for sure, and then make more and more friends. And people remember you, if you show up on time and you're nice and you pay attention, people will bring you back. It's really, it's the soft skills that really get you hired. I'll tell you what.
Now, are you thinking about doing something fully on your own and directing and producing a film that you can, be a vehicle for yourself, that like in the cards for you?
I would love to. I would love to. I don't think that I have that desire right now, but I'm like 100% positive that I will at some point do that in the future. I will say I don't think that I'm the best writer. That's something that I'm really trying to learn more about and just practice writing right now so I can just get good at it. I'm really good at bringing other people's visions to life, and I do enjoy that, but I would love to definitely make my own content one day and perhaps put myself in it, but most likely I think I'd want to just direct and then cast people that I think are really talented.
That's really cool. I mean, it must have been a hell of an experience and learning experience when you were in the HBO show The Staircase. You played Becky. So how did that come about?
My agent sent me an audition, and I booked it. But yes, I learned so much being on that set with those actors, with that director. Just everybody who was a part of The Staircase is incredibly talented and so intentional with telling this very real story. Like, to what I was saying about the Laramie Project, these are very real people that are still alive. The family is still alive and well, and we want to do them, be respectful of them and of what we're portraying in a fictionalized format, or in a narrative format. So yeah, my agent actually sent me an audition for a different character, for a different role in the show. And then the producers got back to us and said that I was being considered for Becky, who was actually going to be in more episodes. So I got very excited about that.
Nice.
And then I got cast, and we did the table read, and the table read was over Zoom. And it was one of the wildest moments of my life, because I've worked with incredible people before, having one day or two on set, some, co-star, it's been awesome. But being in the table read and then seeing like all these people hop in, like Colin Firth, Parker Posey, Sophie Turner, Odessa Young,
Yeah.
Dane DeHaan, Patrick Schwarzenegger, all of these just incredibly talented people that I have for sure seen their work. Toni Collette was, on the top of my list of people to work with.
Yeah.
I think The United States of Tara is a masterpiece. If anyone hasn't seen it, highly recommend. And yeah, oddly enough, I was moving at the time. So I was staying with my parents in my childhood bedroom, where I would like sit and dream about all of these things that I want to do one day. And I'm doing this Zoom call with all of these people that I really respect and appreciate. It was a very surreal experience. And then working with Dane, I got to say, like, he's such a good actor. He's so prepared. He was so kind. And I said to him when I wrapped my last day, just, how much I learned from him, just getting to be there, so often. The tricky thing about Staircase in particular is there are so many different storylines and people to follow that the show had to kind of service everybody as much as it could, while obviously Michael and Kathleen's story is the standout. So we all kind of felt like we would see each other, for 3 or 4 days once a month, and then be gone, which is a very different experience than if you are the series regular on a show, being there day in and day out.
Yep.
So we all kind of felt in that way that, like, we're all here to support this story, which was a really wonderful feeling. And it is a really, it's an honor to be a part of that cast, for sure.
So the important question is, did you play it cool during the table read, or were you like,
I played it so cool?
Really? No, you didn't geek out? I would have totally geeked out. I've been like, face all red. I'd be like, hi.
I had a stress ball, just not even thinking I was stressed. I was excited. I was like, oh, it's going to be great. This is awesome. And I had done some Googling before to see who was attached to the project. So I knew it was Colin Firth. I knew it was Toni Collette. I knew it was Parker Posey, who I also think is just brilliant. And so I had this little stress ball in my hand, and I didn't know, though, who was going to play my partner. That it was going to eventually be Dane. And when he opted into the call, because Chronicle is one of my favorite movies, and just his work is really, really, really solid, I just like squeezed the ball like really, really hard. I remember that. I was just like, oh my God, that's awesome. This is going to be so much fun. But I tried super hard to like just play it cool, and because I am a coworker. And I think that was one of the greatest lessons that this show could have offered me, is especially as someone who, an Atlanta-based actor. I don't know if you've seen about stuff that's come out in the news lately about, some of the local casting directors, and they're all we all get that we are the third largest market. We are not New York and we are not LA, and we are sometimes treated like we are subpar to people from New York and LA. And I'll say that talent is not based on where you're from, because actually all those people are from everywhere else.
Right.
But sometimes as an Atlanta actor, it is hard to feel your value and your worth. And this show, I got a beautiful, beautiful opportunity to show up each and every day and learn and teach myself over and over again that like, I am valuable. I am here. I was chosen to be here for a reason. Like, I have something to bring to this literal table of superstars. It was great. And I'm very grateful for that. And I think that I, as an actor, like, will be forever, kind of grateful for that and changed by it. So yeah, it was hard to keep my cool for sure, especially the first day and like being at that table in the first episode. I just remember like at one point somebody said something to me and I was like, okay, I just remember my thoughts kind of stuttering, or sputtering, just sort of not all there, but it was awesome. It was great. Everybody was super nice too. That always helps.
So when you're, once again, you're watching, Colin, Firth, Toni, Collette, all of them go about their business as an actor. Obviously they've had years, they've been doing it forever. They've, had the Oscars and all the other stuff that backs them up, King's Speech, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
What are you as an actor able to do, look at them and go, this is something, or why they are what they are? Like, were you able to take anything away from that and go, all right, I this is how they prepare. This is how they've been prepping, or, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's a really great question. So the first word that comes to my mind is relaxation. They know that they need to be relaxed to be a real person in front of cameras. And definitely, especially I would say in Colin Firth's circumstance, as well as in Toni Collette's, but like the preparation 100% was there. The preparation was there for the table read. I mean, he came in and immediately started doing the voice, and everybody in the Zoom call was like, this is a little uncanny. So the preparation is huge. I also think that I relearned that with Dane too, because he would come to set and he didn't have his sides on him. He knew the script backward and forward. He knew every ounce and nuance of our scenes so well and had so many great ideas to contribute. So preparation is huge, just really doing that script work beforehand. And then just relaxation. You gotta be present. And there's something I was talking to a friend about the other day, that when you are in a stressful situation, your cognitive function decreases by 70%. 70%. Wow. So if you can show up to that table and be relaxed and leave the stress at the door because you already did the hard part of getting the job, then you're golden. Like, just play and be present, and the director will tell you if it's bad or not. Don't worry, but like, just try something and be present and just chill the fuck out. Like, honestly, I feel like that's what I had to tell myself over and over again too. But it was great. It was a practice in doing that. So. See,
that explains my podcast. I lost 100% of my function when I do these. There you are. That's my excuse now.
Nice.
Now, for the listeners who may not know, the Staircase is based on a true story of the death of Kathleen Peterson, allegedly, I guess that's the right word, by her husband, depending on your perspective of the documentaries and the movies and all this other stuff. Before you started the role, were you aware of the case of Kathleen Peterson? Was something that you then went back and researched? So where were you in that whole realm?
Yeah, I wasn't. I'm not a big true crime person, to be honest. I'm a comedy. Let's keep things happy because it's dark enough around here anyway, So yeah, I'm not really a true crime person, but I have a lot of friends who are, and I did watch some episodes. I eventually watched all of the documentary, but to prepare for the audition, I did watch a couple of the first episodes of the documentary on Netflix. And no matter which way, whatever happened, it's absolutely tragic and awful what happened to this woman who so many people had so many lovely and wonderful things to say about. And she deserves to be remembered. I really appreciated how intentional Maggie, Cohn, and Antonio Campos, who are the showrunners, were about giving Kathleen a voice in this. because it is her story and it is the end of her story. And there are so many different ways it could have gone, because ultimately we don't really know what happened. And that's really frustrating. People, we desire resolution. We desire justice as well.
Right.
And I think that's why it's been so captivating to so many people, is because you can't quite get there, unfortunately. Yeah, but so that's my long-winded way of saying I didn't know a lot, but I did do my research once it sort of came into my sphere, and it's fascinating and also just awful, just tragic.
So in your research, right?
Mhm.
Did you form an opinion on whether or not Michael actually did it, and did that opinion change after reading the script?
It's a great question. So I didn't form an opinion as we were shooting. I read the scripts, and to be honest, I really tried to look at it from where Becky would have come at it from. You know, she's married to his son. She wants to be a supportive person to this family who's being torn apart by this awful thing that happened. And also you would wonder, like this guy who I've known so long, Becky and Clayton are still together. They've been together for a very, very long time. You know, could he have done this thing? So there's got to be a little bit of hesitancy, skepticism, suspicion. Suspicion is the best word. But ultimately, this is her father-in-law, and I don't think that she would want to go all the way there of saying like, no, for sure, like he did it. She wasn't on the other side of the courtroom, you know, in that literal sense. So no, I didn't really form an opinion, even as I was reading the scripts. And, you know, now I've been asked this question a lot, to be honest, like, do I think he did it or not? And I might have like a personal idea, but I don't really know that I want to go on record saying so, because ultimately we really don't know. And I think that what we were trying to say with this story is that whether he did it or not, the justice system was swayed in a certain direction. And we as citizens deserve to be guilty or innocent until proven guilty, not guilty until proven innocent.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, I mean, obviously Becky Peterson, as you said, is a real person,
Mhm.
still alive.
Yeah.
Did you get to meet Becky? Did you do research to try to copy her behaviors, or did you decide to do your interpretation of Becky?
No, I didn't get to meet her. The family didn't really want to contact us much at all, and actually asked that, you know, none of us do reach out directly. I believe the showrunners had some contact with one of the daughters and with Michael. But once we were told from production that, you know, definitely don't reach out to them, and we can provide you with hopefully some answers if you have any character research questions. They had some family photos that the family shared with us. And so I actually based it a lot on those photos that we had for our costume design work for our fittings, and got to see sort of her personality and how she was, and just very clearly cared about this family that welcomed her in, and, you know, was so invested in her and Clayton's relationship. So I definitely just got that really strong sense of duty to family, supporting her partner. I mean, they were together through a lot of very tricky situations as a couple, with him going to prison and his alcoholism, and they're still very much so together and have a life together. So clearly there is some deep, deep love there. We actually, Dana and I talked about that the first time we got coffee, and you know, started diving into what their dynamic would be, is that there's clearly a very deep bond there. Yeah.
So, I mean, once again, it's also the series directed by Antonio Campos, who is a great director. So what was he like to work with? And did your experiences as a assistant director and producer help you kind of navigate working with, you know, Antonio and Maggie, Cohn, and everybody else?
Sure. So yeah, Antonio was wonderful to work with. He's very thoughtful. He really appreciates the actors' perspective and ideas, you know, coming to the table. Obviously, being respectful of the text as well, and knowing what's, you know, been so carefully curated and written out for us by the writing team and by himself and Maggie. But he was wonderful and very supportive, and everybody on set made me feel very included, and I really appreciated how soft he was with everyone and direct, and like, because as a director, I mean, you can get as a director, you can get very overwhelmed by just the sheer amount of questions you get from all those people that you talk with. And whenever the actors had a question, coming over and speaking very softly with them, and would kind of come over and be like, what do you think about this? What if we actually tried it like that? Or what do you think? Actually, my first day, we had a big scene together, and we tried it a bunch of different ways. And it was really nice to, like, just right off the bat be asked, like, what's your opinion on this? How would you do it? Because a lot of the times the characters that I've played in TV and film thus far have been, you're a supporting co-star. I need you to deliver the lines to the person who is actually telling the story, kind of thing. And that's kind of the dynamic.
Yeah.
And so to be very instantly, like, brought into the fold in that sense was really, really awesome, terrifying, but very exciting. So yeah, he was great to work with. And Maggie was so kind as well. They had really nice things to say, because I in my fitting, I actually kind of said, at first I auditioned for someone else, and then, now I'm playing Becky. This is so great. And she was like, you just had such a great audition. We saw it, and we were like, yep, that's Becky for sure. And so it's just nice to kind of, just talk to them directly and really bond as humans. And yeah, I really appreciated the way they steered the ship. It was a big ship to steer, 7 months of shooting, and COVID delays and things happened, and things inevitably change what you originally had planned, and they rode the wave of all of it.
I mean, and the show is doing awesome. I mean, it really is a huge hit. I mean, just on social media alone, the fact that there's Facebook groups dedicated to the show is a testament to how successful that it is. And
yeah,
I mean, what has it been like for you? I mean, have you kind of like ghosted into some of these groups and see what they're saying? I mean,
no, definitely not. I wish I actually could get rid of all of my social media, to be honest, but no, I don't really. I also think that because my character is very supporting, in this, that the pressure is on for the kids, for Dane and Patrick and Odessa and Sophie and Olivia, who just all did such a great job. I've loved watching their performances. I think that they all were so nuanced and relaxed and present. You could see it on set too, just how easygoing they were. They were trying to be with each other because they knew it would read on camera. If we could really kind of have a good rapport with each other and not sort of dance around each other, we can create a really nice dynamic and vibe. And so, no, I've really mostly just kind of enjoyed seeing the final cuts, seeing the edits, and appreciating the fact that, like, yeah, just being a part of something that's so big, and hopefully will lead to more work, because that's all that's all we really want from one job, is we just wanted to bring us into another.
Well, like I said, the series is fantastic. It's on HBOMax for the listeners. Go find it. It's 6 episodes all out now, so go do it. So what's next for you?
That's a great, yeah, I auditioning, still an actor, still a working actor, so reading for things. And I love my team here, Stewart Talent here. They're such a wonderful duo, and appreciate them so much. So just auditioning. And I did actually, my parents just shot another short film, so I'm very excited I first AD'd that one, and I'm excited to see the edit for that. And yeah, just kind of taking it one thing at a time, working on the podcast, which is fun.
That is awesome. And like I said, when the podcast is, I'm gonna definitely check it out. When you do your next thing, come back on the show to talk about it. It's a total pleasure to talk with you. It was a lot of fun.
Good.
I don't think I've had this much fun talking about history and everything else on the show. So thank you so much, Miss Pniewski. Yes.
You did it. You said it right. You did it. Yes. Thanks. It's so nice to talk to you. Thank you so much for having me.